Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our seminar today. My name is Koshapon Chansawang, or you can call me Earn, and I'm with my friend Book, Mr. Harit Tangpunjaran. We are both from Architecture, School of Architecture and Design. So today we are going to be the master of ceremony for this seminar. Proudly present our topic, Architecture Journey of Only Human Studio.
Yeah, and then Before we start, may I ask you, do you have any plan after you graduate?
Yes, I plan to work as an architect to get some of the experience and to get more about myself before going abroad for get my master degree.
And any major you are interested in?
Yes, I'm interested in real estate, so I'm going to study my master degree in real estate. So what about you?
Yeah, I also plan to work for years to study a company working system before studying abroad in business management.
Okay. But why are you interested in management?
Yeah, easy because I want to start my own company.
That's great because our seminar today is going to be the inspiration for someone who want to start your own company.
Wow. What is the topic about?
Okay. As we are the architecture students, we might have the questions in mind. What after graduation? Or what is your next journey? Some people might get a job as the architect, and some people might get other job other than architects or having your own company. So this seminar is going to give some idea or experience in architectural work for you.
Yeah, I'm sure we have a different goal in the future, but I'm sure that having your own company is the biggest dream for all architects.
Right. I wish to have my own company too.
Yeah, it will be a huge success. So that's why we invited our special guest for today. Our guests are Kun Runn, Charksmithanont, and or you can call him Pifin, and Kun Chayaluck, Peechapat or Pifa. They are actually the alumni of our school. They graduated about 4 years ago, and now they have their own company already called Only Human Studio, the small architecture firm based in Bangkok that run by only two of them.
Yes, and they just received a Blue Scope Design Award, the outstanding building of the year 2022 in non-commercial building. So let me give some of the briefly contents of the talks for today. It's going to be about the journey of them, how did they start, working experience, their design and their awards, and some of their tips and tricks of what bring them to this success. Are you excited, Book?
Of course. So let's get started. We would like to welcome you guys to Pifin and Pifa from Only Human Studio. Good afternoon, Pifin and Pifa.
Hello,
Good
hi.
afternoon.
So, first of all, we would like to say congratulations on your award and your
Thank you.
success of the architectural company. So let's start with a simple question. Why did you decide to study architecture? Are there any inspiration?
Um, for me, I'm always interested in fine arts and design. So, but before I entered SoA, I never know about architecture. So I wanted to do fine arts, but then my parents just introduced me and then take me to the SoA+D, and then I walked into the rooms full of the presentation plates and just thought, okay, fine, I'll just try. And then I just came in and then just know architecture. And then
But for me, actually, my dad is an architect too. So I saw him doing the work since I was young. So I think it became my DNA. So that's why I wanted to do it too. It's the reason.
yeah, so we both have like design DNA from the start because my dad is also product designer. So I just my goal is to not study product design, anything but product design.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so can you tell the brief journey of the Only Human Studio? How did it start, or what inspired to you?
We during when we were doing our thesis, we had a chance to build our own studio. So that was the beginning. So we during designing for thesis, every morning I have to manage the construction work of our studio. So that's how we got started. And during the management of the construction of our studio, we also have another project coming in to do a small resort. So we did not plan to start a studio, so it just comes and
Suddenly came.
then it just go with the flow. Yeah, but we already aim since we finish our internship that we won't enter other offices. So that's a bit half planned and half not planned because
Okay.
we have something we want to do. Like I wants to do photography and fashion. I want to do illustration works.
So that's why we can attend the company.
We can't because they have fixed time and we cannot.
But you already have one of yours already.
No, since we don't have, we already planned that we won't enter because we won't have the time for the other offices.
Yes.
Okay. So why did you name it Only Human? Any inspiration?
It's simple. I watched the movie Green Lantern, and then at the end of the movie, it just say they are only human. So I just thought, nice phrase, and so we looked up the meaning, and it means that we are only human, means that we are not perfect, and then we have something have to practice, and when we have to go on. So I think it reminds that we are just a small part of the something big, and then we try to always improve ourselves.
So, what is only human characteristics? Can you give us an idea?
I think we didn't plan on what our work going to look like, but many people said that our work look like some kind of very structural building. Like you can see the structure outside, but like mostly sometimes the building like they cover with the wall and many things, but our building like they show the actual structure from in to outside.
Yeah, we try to design the structural work or the framework as a part of the aesthetic of the building. I think that comes from the projects like our studio that we'll talk about it in our slides, how we slowly develop and then understand how we design by ourselves.
Yeah, right. And like, what is only human perspective to the architecture?
By perspective, you mean of what?
To the architecture, like the aesthetic or like the design.
We think how to say the
Raw material.
if you talk about how we see our own work, that's perspective of our own work, we really focus on the material.
The real material. We are not using like the so-called the fake material, like a fake wood vinyl floor. We are not using it, but if we want to achieve that kind of look, we would change to another thing with the real one instead of the fake one. So I think we aim to using like very raw materials, like a real concrete. Right?
And we always think that budget is not our concern. If they have low budget, we can still design low cost but still beautiful, and it still feels real if we don't use fake materials. If you don't have enough money to achieve real wood, then fine, we change, don't use wood, use other stuff. And we always look at bigger scale. We think that we try to see architecture as a small part of what we do. What we do is such a small part of the city, of the world, and that's also comes from our name, Only Human, that we are small things. So we try to look outside and find inspirations always from other stuff. I don't know if it answers your question.
Yes.
Yes, it does. And one more question. Are there any kind of your base project, like community project or residential project? Like
What do you
It's
mean?
base
like
project for the
your
design.
design basis.
Again, please.
What is the only human based project? Like you base it on like residential community.
Actually, we are not based on anything. Like if the clients come to us, anything we can build. We are not focusing on anything, but actually it's based on client instead. If the client is not like matching style with us, we are not
We don't do it.
we don't do it. We choosing from the
We're quite picky.
client instead of choosing what type of building we want to make.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes. Thank you for your answer. And what a wonderful story of yours. We would like to show you the architectural works of Only Human Studio too. So we will give this session for Pifin and Pifa to give us some inspiration and passion in architecture for their presentation.
Okay. So can we start?
Yes, you may start.
Okay. So, okay. So today we're gonna share some of our experiences that we've done during since we graduated and even during our graduation year. So since 2018, we've been trying to design and practice architecture. And so today we're gonna show you some projects that we've done with different types of buildings. So first of all, we started off with our own studio.
Actually, it's starting in our backyard. So we have a house and then we have an empty land. So we started to build on that empty land with our very small and low budget construction using steel.
So you can see from the materiality, it's all steel frames, very lightweight, and then very simple construction. So that's our context. So we needed just a steel worker and someone who can carry stuff. So we work with only 2 builders. So this is the first version of our studio. Just a small room underneath where we work and then a rooftop. So as you can see, this is our initial model. So it started off very structurally. So this is where we started to introduce our language, I think. The language of skeletal architecture, so-called, I think. With split floors, we love split floors a lot. And then after 2 years, I think, we started the renovation and then the extension of our studio.
Because we really need more space for working, so we need to extend our studio. So we design on extension, and then this one is the extension using also steel, and then we putting the
Smart board
for the wall.
It's very lightweight, and as you can see, we don't do how to say decorative furniture or stuff. You can see on the left side, these are the shelves, our bookshelves. It's already a part of the structure of the building, so it's still connected to the main structure. Without the columns, then we won't have the shelves. So it's furniture and architecture starts to merge. This is our meeting room, the biggest room. So you can see the trees surrounded our studios. When we decided to extend, we thought a lot about how to extend our studio because in a limited space. So one day we looked up to the sky and then we see leftover spaces where the trees still doesn't grow. So we really extended our space in between the trees. So this is our today studio, present studio. So you can see the trees. It's almost hiding behind the trees, and then also floating above the floors without any columns in a cantilevered gestures. So I think this is also another style, another characteristics of our studio. We like to, when it comes with the, when we design from the structure, I think it comes with the structural challenge. We like to challenge the structure a lot. So it's 3-meter cantilever. So this is the inside of our studio when it's done.
And then sometimes
This
we
is our
turn it to
sleeping place.
sleeping place when we needed to work at night. Yes, outside when it finished. Actually, I want to saying that this project is really our first project that really helps us doing from start to the end. We kind of built it from nothing, and then we communicated with the worker, the local worker, and then we trying to clear the small detail doing it by ourselves. So the whole project we having to doing all.
So we have
the
to go
project together.
We have to go from the form. We even design the form down to the small joints where the steel meets, each steel meets. So we have to be very clear and be able to tell the worker how to do it. And we even welded some of the parts ourselves. So we learn a lot about the languages the worker use and what they think, which will really help us in the future projects, which we're going to show later. So this is our introduction to real life, real building architecture.
And I think this one is it's good that we have a chance to build this one, because when clients or many people come to our studio, they can see the real building. They can refer that we can do like this. So it's kind of like a very real portfolio for our clients.
And the next project, which comes right during we are building our studio, is the Ban Mamakok Resort in Lamphun. So this project is very low budget, really low budget. So I had to start it by going to the site to see the existing phase 1 of the resort, which was already built. So in Lamphun, we also know that they don't have that much skilled worker, I think, because it's not the main city like Chiang Mai or Chiang Rai. So the local workers was hired already before the design. We already know who's gonna build our project. So I needed to talk with him. And then we found out that he can only do concrete work, no steel.
So we have to decide based on the skills of the worker rather than we design first and then push the worker to work with our difficult design.
So these are the images from the finished buildings. Seems like unfinished because we really intended to make it raw concrete without any paints and any finishing because of the very low budget in the project. And also we wanted to achieve the look that it looks very quite old since it's finished, old from the beginning, because our concept was that it was really near a temple where people come to Lamphun and have to visit. It's the temple where they have the footprint of the Buddha. So we really get that concept, and then you see in the plan that it's very quite like a sacred architecture. It's very symmetrical and very peaceful. So it needed to look ancient. I wanted it to look as if it has been here before the temple even existed. So this is the inner court of the resort. So it has 8 units. So this one is a 1 unit and a connecting room to another unit with a inner pond. So very contrasting to our studio. You can't see any steel, it's only concrete. But still we still go on a path of using only real material. No decorations at all. This is the connecting rooms. So we even had a chance to design the furniture in it. This is the plan of the project. So as you see, it's very symmetrical. So when you enter the resort, you walk through the center corridor into the inner courtyard, which if you come during the evening, the sun almost sets at the center when you walk. So you can see the sunset between. So it's very, very has the language of the temple where the footprint of the Buddha is. So you can see the jagged edge like the temples and then how it offsets in like the language of the temple. And in this project, we really learned how to work with the local worker, because the first day I went to visit during the construction, the first question that the worker asked me is that does the bed face the north direction? And then that's it. I know something has to go wrong. He doesn't even know how to look at the plan. And then the piles that the columns placing that he did was a reverse. So this house was flipped here. So everything was flipped upside down. Then I had to come and replan and then study what went wrong and then really do a minimum adjustment so that the project can go on. So that was the resort. To next one is the renovation project for a photographer.
This house like actually really small. Is a townhouse in Chayaluck. It's a renovation. This project we started with our sketching. We sketch a lot to get the new idea, and I think we're using a lot of what we learned in our university, like what our teacher teach to do sketch a lot and do many models. And here is our sketchboard.
We still have our pinup board, like
Yes.
in the studio.
I think this one just really work for us because when we like have no idea, we just walk around and then come back and look at the board and then we suddenly get some new idea. So I think it's really work.
I think it's important that we create an environment where we have a chance, where there's a chance that we can think of something new. So maybe in the morning I come and then I flip one paper upside down and there's a new idea. So I think it's important that we place ourselves in a good environment.
Okay, so as I tell you that this project, the owner is the photographer. So we're trying to using kind of ratio from the photo, like 4:5, 1:1, 16:9 to like create the window, the solid void, the solid and void. And then this one we have like very radical changes a lot because we have to have our like a very rigid structure, but then we have to redesign it based on those rigid structure to make it like doesn't look like the same.
So we always like to do renovation project, which I think pushes our clients. So they might imagine when coming to us that they wanted to do just new paints and a new facade, but it's really important for us to go there and then look at the space and really really make a new space which really fits their lifestyle, I think. And so by being a photographer, we think that his job involves going out of the house a lot to some wedding, to some places to take photographs. But when he comes back to his house, I think it shouldn't be a boring house where he just edits photos. So we thought about how to make the house still fun for him, and then it's how can the house become like a big camera where he can live in his own camera and look out to the environments through the different ratios of the windows. We also added a very high pitch roof, so we extended up to receive the northern light in from the back of the house. So, mhm. So we always try in every project to achieve this. I think simple diagram of the house, so that the of the project. So it's we always talk to ourselves that is the form iconic enough to be remembered yet. I think that's a bit important. That is simple enough. So this is the rendering of the construction will start, I think, next month or in 2 months. So again, this one comes back reflects back to our studio where we really care about the structure.
And the raw material.
So this renovation project is all about we stripping down the walls until it's left only the columns and beams and the wooden floor. So we always keep the structure as it is, and then we don't even paint it. We try to show the structure separated from the new added in stuff.
Actually, I would thanks to our very great customer, because they like some customer would not let us not painted their wall, but this one he like really want to explore new thing with us. That's why we can like come into this design. Okay, and another one is the excellent communication office. It's an IT office, the new build in Rama 9. This one, like you can see, it's kind of like
So this project we start like when we study in uni. We start with just this image, which I did. So it's the image of the motherboard or the circuit board of the computer. So I think it's very straightforward. IT, circuit board, and then we did this collage, so that it starts to tell us some language of diagonal lines and circular shapes and straight lines, which merges together. Then after this, we started to think about the space we want and the brief of the clients. So the client also wants an office which is surrounded by trees. So he actually came to our studio, and then the first sentence was that he wanted to actually lift our studio
and
to his place and place it there.
Like copy paste.
Copy paste. So we talked a lot about the importance of site and his own programs, which you already learned from your teachers or our teachers. So we started to look back at our studio, and that's why we can talk to you today that we really cared about structural stuff and real materials and the lightweightness of the architecture. So you can see the sketch. It's very lifted. It's very light, almost not touching the floor. It's lifted up and then surrounded by greens. And then from these sketches, along with the concept, we did conceptual models, which doesn't have any functions at all. You can't fit any rooms there, but we
did it from our sketches. Like we didn't plan what room it would be, but we make it to the model.
We just improvise it on the model to find a language which we would use in the building. And after that, we did 3 schematics. So we really cared about the schematics. I think we give importance that each schematic has to really be different, not just a change in facade or color. So the planning of the three are really different. You can see even from how we park the cars, it's all different. We flip the plan, we make very, even has its own concept, the three of them. This is the final render of the project. And so it's the combination of all three and the conceptual models. So you can see the structural challenge which comes back, the cantilevered stuff and the split floors which we love. This is the inside of the project. So having an inner courtyard on the second floor of the office.
And the inside material like really reminds back to our studio that the owner comes and wants.
And this is the final models. We always do models for every project because we think it's a design tool and also a communication tool, both for the owner and for the worker and also for us.
Because like many times when we do the model and then I accidentally put the wall on the wrong one and then suddenly I just came in with the new idea, the new floor plan. So I think it really helps us in designing new things.
I think it goes back to what I said earlier about putting yourself in the position that would create a chance that you would think about new stuff. I think it's also a tool which can go wrong quite fast, even faster than 3D, because you can always put your model falls down and then becomes a new design.
Actually, we are together like talking a lot about that. We don't want to have an image of what we're going to build for the client. I think if we don't have an image first, it will create a very new design.
Yeah. No preconceived ideas. So we've gone through our studio, a resort, and renovation projects, a new project, a new office. Now it comes to a really common program, a new house.
This one owner is a kind of half Chinese who is doing an import things from China back to Thailand. So we would like to create something that reminds him of like Chinese things. So we thinking about the black brick.
Yeah, so the client came to us very clearly with his brief, a very short brief. He said he wanted a house using steel structure, H-beam, and he wanted to see a concrete slab while he sleeps and while he stays in the house. So the brief was very based on material and no style was given. So we thought, why not Chinese steel
and black
bricks then? Because an advantage of logistics, he could import the black bricks in a very low cost. So we use that advantage in this project.
And then when we started to design, we looked back at the paintings of the Chinese, that what is the elements in their palette or in their house that we can use and apply on the new design. So here is the painting. We doing like
so these
some
are
very
the ancient paintings, the traditional paintings, which show some spaces which we were interested in. Then we really transform this diagrams or these paintings into our own three-dimensional diagrams of the spaces.
So that is the way we can like input this kind of thing into our design.
So we really make it very straightforward. We started off by putting all these diagrams stacked on top and then on the side to complete into a house. Then we slowly redefine the space and clear out through the brief, through the functions that were given. So this was the final outcome of the house, the final renderings, which the owner, we asked the owner to send us images of houses he liked, and we could see that he loved the mid-century stuff. He could, and then so we just try to make it not too modern, and we go back a bit. And then when we showed the image to him, he said it's perfect because he grew up in a mid-century house, and he never told us that he wanted a mid-century house. But I think it's the work process. We learned that the work process and how we ask questions is very important, that we can get some content out of in between what he said.
I think this project is a very big project that we has to deal with like a bigger contractor. So I think it's very challenge for us because there is a very mistake that the contractor do that we have to improve it and then change it into the new thing to make the constructor go on.
I think this one, from what Fa said, it's a really big project because it's not only a house. It really holds a warehouse, two warehouse, a big garage, an office, and also some more some bedrooms for his workers. So it's quite a huge house. And it's one of our first project of building a new house. So we really go to the site a lot to learn stuff and also solve problems. So we even have to solve problems of the steel structure meeting each other, and how the bricks are layered and what patterns, and how when the important thing is the corners and the edges. I think that's important, where we go in and then we discuss with the contractor, with the owner, how we would end this edge beautifully. Yeah, so it's really an eye-opening experience, I think, because when we study, we only design the form of the building to fit our concept, but we really never went into this much detail when we studied. I think for me, I think this is the really fun part of architecture. It's the details and the construction process, I think. So you can see it still calls out to our studio of showing really exposed structure. So these are the like steel curved circle.
And we're not painting the steel, we just left it with the rust.
Mm-hmm.
And then
we just put on lacquer to stop it from rusting, but no colors. So it's really pure color of the steel, really pure color of the black bricks and the concrete walls. Mm-hmm. And we even go further than just showing the skeleton of the architecture. In this project, we even show the system inside, the veins. We show the pipes, the electrical system, the water systems. It's all exposed.
No ceiling. This one is the very main part of the house that we playing with the skylight. That you can see that when the different times of the day the sunlight would changes.
So it goes all the way from a very clear lines to a very ambient line on the ambient light, and then this part is where we really take from the diagrams.
The Chinese diagrams
that they have repeated
arc.
repeated arc for the corridors to an important room. So what's important in a house? We think that is the master bedroom. So this is a very majestic corridor leading towards the master bedroom and which looks towards the backyard.
And the next one is what we received an award like a month ago, a SoA+D St. Mark Catholic Chapel in Mesot, Tak, which was very difficult to visit, like 4 hours from the from the Tak city, and then 4 hours uphill to the SoA+D village. This one is an it's their old chapel that they want to replace with a new one. So they come to us and then tell us that they want a new one. So do you want to tell that why did we get this project coming to us?
So we have to say that a chapel is, I think, one of an architect dreams to build a chapel. So it's very, very lucky for us to be able to do this project. So my senior at the internship just asked me that, do you want to do a chapel? And who would say no to a project as this? So we started off a very short time for design. So the father of the chapel is also the owner of the project. We never talked to him and we never met him, but we know that we only have 2 months to design this project. So we did it. So we started off with a very simple diagram. The only thing we know that a chapel must have, from what the father said, is that the chapel will have these 14 photos or 14 images, which is called the 14 Stations of the Cross, which is very important in Catholic Church because it shows the journey of Jesus Christ, from the journey during crucifixion, from him walking until he was crucified. So we highlighted the cross in black, and then we could clearly see that there were only two, like the final photos, that the cross are standing up. Other than that is the importance of the falling of the cross, and in the explanation of each photos, they really emphasize the times Jesus Christ fell. So it's written the first time Jesus Christ fell down, the second time Jesus Christ fell down, the third time. So in total, Jesus Christ fell 3 times to his knees during crucifixion. So that was the important things in this project. We did many schemes.
We did like from the circular scheme to the very linear scheme, like 20-30 scheme, and then we comes up with kind of design.
It's very simple planning because it really has a beautiful site. We don't have to do much. This is the final structural diagram of the project. We show this because we really love structure. And then if you go inside the chapel itself and you look up to the ceiling, you would really see the structure of the roof as it is. But this project is very special because the workers are not Thai. They are the Karen's worker, Kariang. So they can't speak Thai.
So we have to communicate it with the picture, the diagram with them.
So this diagram, as you see, is too complex for them, and they can't understand this diagram, and they also can't understand AutoCAD's drawing or our conventional drawings. So what we use to communicate with them is this stuff. So only this stuff.
We don't do the AutoCAD drawing like but we do this kind of 3D or kind of IKEA manual to explain with them.
So we just not even 30 pages of drawings we use to build this chapel. This is the model, the first model we took up with us to the site. So we actually went to the site only one time before the construction and another time when the construction was already done. So the whole process during construction was through video calls and phone calls.
And we actually this project we would like to create a chapel for the villagers, so we have to talk a lot with them and to make them involved in the project. So you can see that when we from the first photo, when we started to do the model, we coming to them and then present in front of all the villagers. We speaking it in Thai and then the translator translate into an Korean language to the villagers. And then when we started to build, all the villagers come here to help carry the sands from the river and then starting to build by themselves.
So the concrete, they only buy concrete for the structure. The sands and the gravels were taken from the rivers down the village. And you can see from the last photos, the villagers also came to help cleaning up at the end.
So I think this project is really meaningful for us because we're doing it for the community.
And I think by going through all these stages, the chapel really felt like they belong to the villagers. We even noticed some of them changed their Facebook profile pictures into a selfie with our chapels, and some comments saying that they wanted to come back and stay at the village because they wanted to see the chapel. So this is the top view of our chapel. So you can see the big cross, which is slanted, and then the importance of the falling cross, falling down onto the roof. I think looking from outside, it almost looks like a coffin. And so it's very cruel and mean presence, I think. But then when it goes inside, it's very open and very filled with light, and it looks out to an endless hill, and the falling cross on top of the roof becomes the skylight, which really lifts off the weight of the space, I think.
And again, you can see that we expose our structure a lot. Like inside, we not even putting a wall, but we showing the structure instead.
So I think it's we used to have an interview, and they asked us to define ourselves with 3 words, I think, and we answered humble, appropriate, and explorative. So I think this project really answer our 3 words. It's quite humble, I think. It's very simple form. It's appropriate in the matter of concerning the material and the transportation and the budget. And then it's really explorative, using where we explored many schematics, and then we really end up with the form of the cross on top. And then another stuff is that you can see the Karens staying in the chapel with that dress. I think it's really beautiful when we see it. And if we go back just another slide, we can see the chairs on the floor. This is also when we talk to them. Their houses are mainly built with wood, and then they are not comfortable
Sitting on a higher chair. They love sitting on the floor. So that's why here is the seating that they sit on with the no leg.
And also the voice, we also keep it very low so that there's a cross ventilation throughout the buildings. And so this project had won 2 awards. So the first award we won was the one that the father of the client forced us to send to an award. So it was an award from the AIA, or the American Institute of Architects.
In 2021,
So we won the Faith and Form Award
The
for
really-
religious building. And so this year, we also won the Blue Scope Design Award for Outstanding Building of the Year. So I think it's quite an accomplishment for a small studio which just began. And then we really try to go on and improve ourselves. So we're still
practicing.
practicing and going on. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Pifin and Pifa, for giving us the presentation about their projects. I can see that they are very dedicated and passionate in architecture. And we would like to bring you to the next session. It's about the Q&A. Started with the question. May I ask Pifin and Pifa what are behind the success? Any tips to give us?
Actually, I think we think we are not success yet, but we're trying to doing what we like. Like I said before, we actually choosing the clients. We talking to them a lot. When the client come to us, we talking to them and look and making it clear that they have the same design with us. If they want something different from our design, we would not
So the
design for them.
client had the chance to choose us, but we also have the chance to choose our client too. So it's not a one way, and we don't believe that we have to follow everything the client wants. I think the important is that we suggest and we can. I won't use the word educate, but I think we share what we've seen and what we think they haven't seen, and then if it goes into the same direction and then they are willing to explore with us, then bingo, we can go on, and then that would lead to what we can do during the project, and that would make the project interesting.
Mhm.
It doesn't mean that we do not have any not interesting projects. We have not interesting projects, but we don't show them. I think that's also the important part of branding. If we want people to see us which way, then we only present what we want them to see.
Yeah, it's okay. I see that there are many beautiful projects of your studio that you showed us. And what is the most preferable one for you?
I think it would be actually a chapel, because the program is not everyone have a chance to design the chapel. You cannot come straight to the Luang Po and then you say you want to design to them, but this one actually they choosing us. So I think we really pleased with that.
And I think it's very, very rare that we have a client this great, and he really understands architecture because his parents are architects, but he became a father. So we only presented our proposal within just 3 slides, only 3 slides, and then we built the stuff. So it's really, really quick and really straight to the points, and then everyone helped. If you see all the photos from our Facebook, the walls of the chapels are cladded in copper. The father himself did the copper cladding even. So he understands art and design. So it's like we put 10, they put 10, the worker put in 10. So no one fights and everyone just cooperates. I think it's a very great environment to work in. Even though I have to wake up at 6 a.m. because the villagers call me and ask what they want to do today.
Yeah, and may I ask, is it hard to work as a couple? Are you using any outsource in your some of the project?
We main is we together, but some doing the AutoCAD drawing to send it to the government to ขออนุญาต to make
for the permission drawings.
permissions.
We don't do permission drawings. We design, and then we outsource
Yeah.
for the drawing.
Actually, we together done using CAD, AutoCAD.
Okay.
We drawing plans in our Rhino. That's what we do.
That's really great ครับ and how do you manage your work hour and your relax hour?
We like
Are there any fixed hour or like you working as a flexible
Yeah, the
time?
time management of yours.
We mainly work on the weekdays from about 10 a.m. to 5 or 6. Yeah, so that's a loose frame. So we might start at 11 and then finish at 4 sometimes because we're too lazy some days.
I think because we are not have like we trying to plan to get too much work. Like we can talking to our customer that can we move the presentation forward like 2 weeks more? And mostly our clients said okay, so we can have more relaxing time, and then they understand us.
So we create our own time schedule and time management. That's why it goes back that we can work in other offices.
Okay. And about the future of Only Human Studio, do you plan to recruit more people or like expand your studio furthermore?
I think we have to talk a lot about this, and I think like in the further we would like to like get more of our worker.
Yeah. I think it's almost time to recruit more. We're still waiting for a bit. So it's not that we don't want workers, but I think we took the time to study ourselves first. So we started to learn ourselves about what we can do, what we can't, how do we manage, or how do we talk with the clients. So it wouldn't make sense if we started off with our workers at first because we don't even know what to order. So that's the problem. So we have to know what to order first. So we have to order ourselves first.
Okay. So do you have other projects related to design other than architectural projects?
We have many. So you can go see in our Instagram.
Such as like photograph, right?
Or like
Can you give an examples of your design other than architectural design?
you mean
Other projects.
other works. Like for me when we're working from Monday to Friday for an architecture, and then on Saturday and Sunday I'm going out shooting the wedding. Yeah, so like I'm mainly working somehow 7 days a week if it's really fit. But for him on weekday he doing
I paint.
the painting. So like we kind of have the hobby together.
Okay. And that was my last question. Thank you very much. And next session will be the Q&A from the audiences. So we are open to the questions from the audiences. So please ask. Just wait for a moment.
Okay.
Yeah, you can you start reading book? Okay.
Okay, so the first question from the audience is, how do you deal with workers who don't understand proper architectural drawing apart from making diagram?
depends. For the chapel, it's lucky that one of them understand the diagram. So that how should I answer? It's impossible. I actually need to say it's impossible that they don't understand diagram. If you can make a diagram simple enough. If you can make a simple diagram, then you make a model.
If they don't understand,
If they don't understand the model,
they can't build.
they can't build it.
Okay, that really makes sense.
So
And next question is, what is your favorite work and what is the most difficult part of the project?
Good job.
I don't think we can say it's the favorite. I think we should say that it's the most challenging project. I think it's the shampoo.
But all the project is our favorite.
We always talk to each other that we won't send anything that we don't like to the client.
We like everything that we make it out.
So that's the very important part. I think that you do the schematics, all the schematics you like. If you don't like it, don't do it. So you wouldn't enjoy it if the client choose the one you don't like. So I think the chapel is the most challenging projects, and the difficult part of it is that there are no signal that we can communicate with them. So the head of the villager who works at the project stays in another village, and at 6 a.m. he would call me, and then we talk about what he has to do. So I send him diagrams and we talk, explain, and then he would be gone for about 1 week to go up to that village, and then took photos, came back down and show us. And by 1 week, we already see what went wrong with the project, and then we have to redesign some parts always, so that they would have to fix their mistakes to a very minimum amount. So we really adapt our design to the mistakes, I think, and then that's the difficult part and also the fun part. And then even the fact of the difficulty in transportation that they have on the truck, where we even have to the big windows, how big could it be so that it could fit in the truck, and then the steel that we should use steel stuff. The transportation, the material, I think, is the fun
and
part.
the signal.
And
Oh,
are
you can.
there any tips on real material selection?
Choosing real. Actually, like many clients don't want the real material because they said that it's not durable. Like they want a wood floor, but they would say that can it be vinyl instead because it's more durable and it's water resistant. So actually everything in the raw material does not like
does not last long.
That does not last long.
So what we always say to our client is that architecture is not, I think they have to understand architecture in a proper way, that it's not a dead thing. When you finish building it doesn't stay like that forever. It even starts to get old during the construction. So the material is also the same. So we have to choose material that we think would age beautifully. And I think that's the important thing. So if you decode what material is, it's just color and texture. So if you are strong in design principle and design elements and stuff, then you choose the right color and choose the right material, color and texture, and then it would be fine.
Don't choose real material that looks fake. Like if the wood is a real material, you would see the tamai. Yes, you
The
won't choose
imperfection of the wood.
you won't choose a wood with very clean wood, but choose a wood with very imperfection wood. So it will be real.
Because we talk a lot about material, I think it really is what makes our architecture comes to life. The space felt like it has a life. It's alive because of its imperfection.
โอเคครับ and are there any struggling in working with real material, and how do you adapt to it?
You just have to understand the nature of the material. Like if you use wood, then you wouldn't put wood outside in the rain, where it would the water, where it would stay in water for 24/7. Then the wood would age really fast. But if you want, so just an example, if you want a wood terrace, but you want to use real wood, then we would make a gap between the wood so that the rainwater would falls into the gap, so it won't stay on the surface as long. So that's, I think, different materials require different techniques, which we don't. We have to accept that we don't know all of them yet, and we're experimenting with stuff a lot.
I don't think there is a struggling in working with real material because I think it's the fun part that you cannot expect from the fake one. Like you unexpect with it, so it's the what real material would be. So I don't think it's a struggling in the real material.
Most hardest.
What's the hardest thing in your working career, like path and your career path, and how do you dealing with it? How do you deal with it?
I think talking with clients is the most hardest thing for me because
We have to accept that we both are quite introverted.
and we don't want to talking with other people. So I think it's the hardest part for us. And like if there's a customer that doesn't get into the design, it was really hard to explain what are we thinking about in the design for them. Like sometimes they want to change that part, but they don't understand that if you change that part, it would affect the whole building. So we're trying to extend them more, and it's really using a lot of energy.
I think most energy was used to explain to the clients, not to the design.
So that's what we say, that using client is the most important thing. Because like it's like you're choosing friend, because you have to working with this friend for like 2 years, 3 years. If you don't select it well, you will like you're going crazy.
Okay,ครับ
I think we both
And
different.
what? Okay, and are there any architect that influence you, like influence your work, or like do you have any architect that inspire you?
We went through many phases of the who we like. So last year we looked at this architect. This year we look at another. Next year we would look at another. So we can't say which is
Which
the
one?
most influential.
Because if they put one as an influential architect, so it would be like we would copy us and then it will show out that we does look like these architects. So we trying to have many favorite architects so we can like study all of them and make it our own.
And when we look at their work, we don't just look at their end product
Their
or
outcome.
their outcome. We always look at their models,
And
look
their
at their plan, look
process.
at their process. I think that would inspire our process and our design. So we don't just take from the finish
and
take
then
from
paste it into our work.
so even take their ideas they don't use and then we even develop that into another idea and the way.
Okay ครับ and for the last question what are the real deal when it comes to have your own studio thing that you wouldn't expect to face
A financial. Like when we in our university we don't learn to use Excel, but then like 3 years ago I need to practice it by myself, so I think it's really hard. Like I take time like the whole day to key the invoice for the customer in an Excel because I'm not familiar with it, so I think it would like very difficult thing.
That is in terms of the program, but also the financial in its sense that we never have to calculate how much we would charge for our service. So that was the one difficult thing. But the more difficult thing is we don't like to tell our customer the price. It's very uncomfortable for us to charge them. Yeah.
So it not just to design like we are in university or in like if we work in the company we wouldn't have to talk to clients about the price and stuff. We just designing it and then our boss would go and talking to the client instead of us. So I think it's a bit different.
So by being the boss, our own boss, then every responsibility is upon us. So I think that's the real deal. That if you make a wrong decision, then it's on us.
Okay, and thank you, Ka. That was the last question. Welcome to our last session. Before we say goodbye to our special guests, I would like them to give some notes or some warning for our juniors here, the soon-to-be architects, to encourage them. So, can you give them some notes, Ka? พี่ฟิน and พี่ฟ้า
I think we better not say that we would advise, and we don't have that much experience yet. But from our experience, we think that if you don't love architecture, don't do it. It's not that fun.
It's not that fun.
It's not that fun.
Okay.
Because the design is just a small part. And you have to really be dedicated to it. So we even, you asked us about the work hours. We work from 10 to 6, but actually that's when our fingers move. But in here, it's 24/7. So we dream of buildings. We see, see our schemes in our dreams sometimes. So it's dedicated. It's dedication.
Using a lot of energy.
Okay, thank you, Ka.
And last but not least, do you have anything you are working on that you would like to share? Like it can be like out of the architecture career or like any project in the future.
I think we actually wanted to create our own architecture again. Like we are making our studio. Like we want to make a hostel or a hotel for ourselves. Like we want to be
We want to be our own client.
yes.
To design your own company, the hostel or something like that.
Yeah.
Yes.
We want to do that.
We want to do that because we don't want to talking with clients. So we want to be our own client so we can do whatever we want. That's what our aim is.
We want to speak less and less in the future.
Okay. And lastly, we would like to say thank you so much to Vipin and Pifa for sharing your works and experience, and also the passion in architecture with us and our audiences.
We are truly appreciated that, and it is really inspired me to have my architectural firm too. Thank you, you guys so much, ครับ พี่ฟิน and พี่ฟ้า Have a nice day.
ขอบคุณค่ะ
Yes, and
Welcome back to your MC.
welcome back to your MC. So that is all about the journey of Only Human Studio. As we mentioned at the beginning, that what is your next journey after graduation? Are you applying for a job, or are you planning to establish your own company? Whatever decision you choose, I hope that this seminar will be helpful for you and your future.
Yes, our special guests has given us so much information about experiences and working experience as an architect, and I am so honored for hosting them here. Thank you for joining us for the seminar for today. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
กูไม่เห็นมึงจะมองอันนี้เลยกูเห็นมึงมองอันเนี้ย